Yep. Hi, and welcome to the All Politicians Suck web TV show. My name is Everett Farnell. I'm your host. And in case this is your first time or first experience with All Politicians Suck, you should know that we are hardcore, absolute libertarians, and very, very, very objectivist in our thinking about the economy. Now, I want to apologize first off. We had a little equipment failure. Our wireless mic broke, so we have the boom mic hooked up to the camera, but you're probably hearing some background noise, so I apologize for that. Not a whole lot we can do about it. So, today I want to talk a little bit about the president's jobs plan. Jobs plan. You know, the guy just doesn't get it. Never has gotten it. Never has gotten it. Never created a job in his life. Never did anything but sponge off the system. First he worked for nonprofits. First he was in academia, and then he worked for nonprofits, and then he became a senator. Never created 1 ounce of value in his life. Never produced anything, and he just doesn't get it. The guy's an idiot. I don't care how well he gives a speech. I don't care how well he does what he does. He's an idiot. He's a moron. And by the way, all the economists around him who are saying, oh, the way to create jobs, we got to create jobs, we got to stimulate jobs, they're a bunch of idiots too. Look, the economy is not difficult. The economy is not difficult. Take it from me. I've been producing my entire life. I've been only eating what I kill since I was 18 years old. Now, I don't mean that in the sense of hunting. I mean that in the sense that I worked off commission. If I didn't make a commission, I didn't eat. Now, there were short periods of time, a few months here, a few months there, that I did something else. But primarily, 90% of the time, since I was old enough to hold a job, I only ate what I killed. Whether I was making tips, whether I was working for commission, I was always working as some sort of piecework, some sort of get rewarded for doing a good job or get punished for doing a bad job. My entire professional adult life, I have been only working and only living based on what I'm able to produce. So take it from me. The government doesn't produce anything. The government only destroys. That's all the government can do. The government is guns. That's all it is. Guns. Do you hear me? Guns. Guns and force and violence. That's all the government has ever been. Now, that's great when it's directed out, when we put up borders and we protect ourselves from an outside threat. That's great when it's used to keep somebody from defrauding somebody else. That's great when it's used to make sure somebody doesn't physically attack or physically hurt somebody else. So in other words, person A attacks person B. Person A has to be dealt with. That's what government force is for. They come get person A, they lock him up. They come get person A, they kick him out of the state, out of the country. They come get person A, they give him the death sentence. They come get person A, they do something with him. That's what the force is for. Or person A defrauds person B out of something. Well, that means that person A has used force against person B in the first example, and the second example where they defraud him, where they flim-flam him, they have used a substitute for force, and they have and they violated person B again. So now the government can come in and get person A and put him in jail or get him out of the country, do whatever they do. Or the government's good, the government force is good to keep invaders out. So there's somebody who wants to come to our country and they want to take over the country. Well, then we have people to defend our country. That's what the military's for. So we got police, we got military. That's what government force is for. Government force does not create jobs, and that's the only thing that the government knows. Think about it. When they collect taxes, they come with force or the threat of force. So they come in and they say, you pay the taxes or we're going to come put you in jail, or we're going to come steal your stuff. If you don't believe me, then don't pay your taxes, file your tax return, don't pay your taxes, and see if they don't come eventually and start taking taking the money from your bank account, taking your personal property. And if you try and stop them, what do they resort to? Guns. That's because that's all government knows. At the end of the day, government is about force, That's all it's about. So, back to the jobs plan. The government comes, and they stick a gun in your face, and they say, give us some of your money. Well, they do that to the rich people because they don't want to tax the middle class and the poor. They don't want to tax those most vulnerable, as our good and right President Obama would put it. So they come and they stick a gun in the face of the rich people and they say, give us your money. So then the rich people say, okay, well here's some money. And then they take that money and they say, we're going to use it to create jobs. So they have some money here and they divvy it out to businesses, or they divvy it out to different areas so that these businesses, so that these industries, these areas of industry, can then supposedly hire more people to come work for them. The idea being that if you get more people if you get more people working, there'll be more people who have money to spend. With more people for money to spend, it will increase the amount of consumables that are purchased. And then when you increase the amount of consumables that are purchased, then you give the economy a boost. Well, that's fine if Keynes was correct, but Keynes was not correct. Consumables and consumer behavior is not the primary place and the primary way that the economy is driven. The economy is driven by producers. So what the government does is the government takes money from producers that they could use to produce, understand. They take money from producers and then they give it to other people who they're friends with, or who they have some sort of connection with, or people who are doing some kind of industry that they like, some green jobs industry or some such nonsense, some industry that can't survive without government intervention. They give the money to them. But this industry can't survive without government intervention. So they give the money to an industry that can't survive. The industry hires some people to do work that there's no demand for. As soon as the government funds cut off, what do you think happens to the industry? What do you think happens to the company? It shuts down. That's what happens. That's how these things work. Whereas if you just let the producers keep the money, the producers will produce. That's what we do. We will create value. We will create jobs, because if we start producing more, you've got to hire some more people to keep up with the production. You've got to hire some more people to deliver what we produce. You've got to hire some more people. You've got to hire people to help in the production of new services and new products. Now, some people say, well, yeah, but we have to have government subsidize certain industries because those are industries that we should be getting into, like green jobs, for example. Look, oil that we use today, and plastics, and fuel, petroleum, okay? Light sweet crude, or from light sweet crude that the Saudis have, all the way down to the shale oil, and the oil in the dirt sands in Canada. Oil was considered garbage since forever. It was garbage. It was nothing. Whale oil, whale blubber, is what was used to power street lights. It's what was used to power virtually everything. The only difference was that the only thing oil was used for basically was kerosene. Well, we started hunting whales into extinction. There weren't any more whales. Whale oil was becoming far more costly. But we had all this cheap black stuff lying around. So as the price of whale oil went up, somebody, a producer, invented a way to use oil to replace whale oil. They started using kerosene. Then that obviously built in, and eventually we ended up with gasoline. Eventually we ended up with diesel fuel. Eventually we ended up with plastics. Eventually we ended up with the modern industrial age, all based around oil. But the beginning of the industrial age, the beginning was all based around whale blubber, until whale blubber became too expensive. Now it's about oil, until oil becomes too expensive. And when oil becomes too expensive, the market will find a new solution. We don't have to worry about whether we're going to run out of oil. First, we're not going to run out of oil. First, there's so much oil in the world. I mean, there's enough oil in Colorado to run the United States of America at current production levels for 100 years. In Colorado alone. I'm not talking about in the entire Rocky Mountains. I'm talking about in Colorado. Now, granted, Colorado's big, but there's enough oil in there to run the country for 100 years at current levels. There's enough oil in the oil sands in Canada, in the northern forest regions of Canada, to run the entire world for 100 years. So forget about this, oh, we're going to run out of oil. No, we're not. But when oil starts becoming too costly to produce because we can't get to it, then something else will move in. Just like oil took the place of whale blubber, the market will figure out a solution to the problem, because the market always figures out the solution to the problem. That is, as long as government stays out of the way. So, what does that have to do with the jobs plan? Government takes money from producers who will produce jobs, who will produce more effective products and services, better and more effective products and services. It takes money from those of us who will help the economy, who will improve the economy, who will fix the economy. It gives it to people and to industries and to businesses who cannot, by definition, improve the economy, who cannot have a sustainable job unless there's subsidies, who cannot who cannot fix the economy. They can't fix the economy. They can't do it, because as soon as they're off the government tip, their entire business model collapses. The entire business model is based on the government going and stealing money from me and from you and from the other guy and giving it to the company that cannot produce. They can't produce in the marketplace, and if they can't produce in the marketplace, they're going to fail. So the jobs plan, by definition, is a complete failure. And by the way, lest you say, well, they're going to fund that with quantitative easing, or they're going to fund that with who knows? The Fed is going to fund it, or they're going to fund it with minor tax boosts and cost, or rather expense cuts. They're going to cut the government expenses, etc., etc. Look, the only way that they can possibly fund that jobs bill and have any chance of it doing anything is that they fund it 100% through cost cuts. As long as they're as long as they're doing taxes, as long as they're selling bonds, as long as they're doing quantitative easing, as long as they're borrowing money or doing quantitative easing with the Fed, the only thing that happens, the difference is, taxes take money from you and me today. Bonds and quantitative easing takes money from you and me and our posterity. So it takes money from you and me and our children. Taxes will take money will take food off our table today. Bonds take food off our table in 20 years and takes food off our table for our kids. Quantitative easing causes inflation, and that inflation absolutely, unquestionably will decimate the poor, and it will decimate the economy, and it will devalue the dollar, and it will, make no mistake about it, it will cost your children over and over and over again in the lost ability to produce. So anyway, that's enough for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and go ahead and shoot on over to all-politicians-suck.com if you'd like to sign up and make sure you stay up to date with all our podcasts and all our web shows. Talk to you later. Bye.